analysis and dissection, you've come to the right place. I'm Pat Mitchell. I'm an 11-year veteran of day trading. I've been doing this professionally a long time, and I am here to educate all of you right here on YouTube and on X for free. So tonight we are going to be discussing two trades that I took on Qs and on SPY. We execute via options. Don't let that scare you away. I'm not an options trader. I do not consider myself an options trader. I just execute via options, meaning I watch the chart. So if I refer to long or short, it's because that's how I'm looking at it. Now, obviously, I am executing with calls and puts. Again, if you're not into options, don't let that scare you away. This strategy can absolutely be used on stock as well because there's nothing different. So now with all of that aside, one more piece of housekeeping. Sorry, guys. I know this is long-winded. We'll get into it in a second. If this is your first time viewing, you owe me a like. And if this is the second time you're a returning viewer, you got to subscribe. And if you're subscribed already, thank you. You're a badass. And you can simply just like the video. And that's it for payment. Let's rock and roll. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to pull up the charts. Let's rock and roll. So first off to bat here, what we looked at was on SPY. Now, one of the reasons why this trade was mainly executed by just me and no members of the service. Maybe a few might have got executed. I did give them a warning and I said that your risk is elevated on this one. Now, because this can top out here, which was kind of this first little gap fill area. If you look at my cursor, there's a gap fill and also a dual layer of resistance. There's actually a lot of resistance there. It's a real sound technical level, that's all we trade are technical, strong technical support and resistance levels. So because it can reject there, I'm okay with starting in. Now, I would start in small and add the rest up here. But because the risk is elevated, I did warn other traders, don't take it. Wait for it to trigger up here. There's other ways that we can get involved with this. Don't worry about it. You're not going to miss anything. So I executed an absolutely beautiful trade here. Just a dead nuts top tick, bottom tick, however you want to look at it. And then simply paid myself all the way down. Now, granted, on this, I made about 61, 62% on this trade from entry to best sell. And these last few remaining contracts, it's a very small portion of my position, very small. You'll see time and time again, I execute and I get out all of my contracts, the majority of my contracts. And that's just to be able to withstand the emotional stress that can happen in a trade. Instead of just bailing on a trade, I want to see if this is going to have follow through for me and test that next support level down, which generally they do. So that's why I want to hold a small portion. Now, this is a big topic of discussion in my service right now. Should you hold? Should you not hold? And we went into a really long discussion on that. I won't get into that here this evening. Adam and I are going to be doing more of a full-length video on that same exact notion and point of topic. And basically, it boils down to if you're fighting something, stop fighting it. You got to give into it. Let it win. Okay, and I'll go into that in more detail in an upcoming video here on the main channel of YouTube for all of you guys to take a look at. But beautiful trade, executed, locked in $3,652 on that trade. So that was on SPY. And then Qs, we had two separate trades on Qs. Now on Qs, I didn't take the short. Now, what happened way up here is something that I refer to as trend formation. Trend formation, without going into too much detail, because it really doesn't have anything to do with this here today. But what this is a way to capture a short if it doesn't come into a resistance level. Okay. So remember, here at Tricktrades, we do things professionally. We do everything by the book every single day, day in and day out. That's why I have the success that I do. And I've been doing this for over a decade, right? Successfully. So this is a way to capture a trade, at risk of repeating myself here, without waiting for that resistance level. Okay. And that's what happened. It gave us actually a beautiful setup. It opens up, pops, comes down, puts in a lower low, comes back up. And I even said it's going to come back up and it's going to retest the opening price. And that's where it came into. So some members did take that and they took an absolute monstrous short. Good for them. Beautiful, beautiful job on that. They always post their entries in chat. I took a look at their entries. They were sound. Their profit taking exits were sound, everything else. So because I was already in one short, I wasn't going to work a secondary short. Why? Because if this short works, it will bring me down into this support level here on Qs, which is our long entry. For those of you that are just joining us, each and every one of these blue levels that you see on the chart are placed prior to the market open. And then that and those are our trade plans for the day. We don't deviate from our trade plans. Our trade plans are pretty much set in stone at 9 a.m. East. And I go over all of this right live on screen share every single morning. I give everyone their trade plans. I ask if does everybody understand? If anyone has any questions, I will absolutely answer those questions. So our level was down here at 521.74. Executed that level. You can see, absolutely beautiful. The blue are my entries. The reds are my sells. So on this one, I locked in about 40, 41%, 42%, somewhere in that area from entry to best sell, and locked in $1,770, all within 8 minutes. And that's all just from trading strategy, being real patient, just sniping that entry right into that level and exiting on the way back up, or however you want to look at it, right? So exiting on the way back up, back into resistance levels are my targets. That's why you're seeing this. So now let's talk about risk assessment. So as I pointed out here on SPY, I talked about traders not taking this trade here. I may take it, but I've been doing this a long time and I'm very comfortable with an extended level of risk. So again, if you're not comfortable with something, and sometimes, yes, you do, you absolutely need to push those boundaries. You can't get stuck in a rut, or else, like, if you're always afraid to do something and you always want to be comfortable, you're never going to do anything. But it's kind of a catch-22, because if you are always looking to be comfortable, right, you're never going to get anywhere. But if I'm telling you, if you're uncomfortable with it, don't take it. It kind of goes against what I'm saying. It's not so much being uncomfortable. It's what you're able to emotionally handle. A lot of people think that day trading has everything to do with IQ. Absolutely not. Obviously, you need a relatively modest IQ in order to do this. You can't be a mouth breather. Obviously, it's not going to compute, right? You're not going to get it. But I'm sure if you guys are watching this, you're all reasonably intelligent adults, right? As long as you're average intelligence, you're good to go or above. Okay. What really separates the pros from the posers, or the pros from the amateurs, is that emotional control, your EQ, your emotional intelligence, how you're able to handle these situations. So if you recognize that you're always kind of shaky, lay off a bit, lay off, just give time to work. It's something I say all the time. Analyze that risk. If it's within your risk tolerance, then you can take it. If not, don't take it. So we got asked a question by Richard, which is a member, and he was asking about his risk on Qs. He wanted to start in early, okay? And then he asked, well, if I start in early and it breaks this level, do I get out? And it's like, no, absolutely not. If you start in early, your start in point has nothing to do with the actual trade. These levels are a trade, not where we start in. So we went over a few things and talked about risk, and I simply just snapped my crosshairs and took a look at the risk, which was, well, it's not showing right now, but it was about 50 cents, 50, 60 cents to the lows of after hours. And that's our first technical level down. And that's where we want to risk off of. Now, we don't want to we have two risk strategies: technical and then standard risk. Standard risk is about 1 point on Qs, okay? It's not a basic bitch 1 point type of stop out rule. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. But that aside, we can't give it standard risk, because if we do, it's broke that last technical. It will most likely go to another technical level, which is way the hell down here, guys. Way down here at 519. So we're executing into almost 522. That's 3 points away, man. It's way too far. So if it breaks this, the odds dictate it will then come to the next support level down, or even these moving averages. So we don't want to do that, right? Now, it didn't end up doing that, but again, it's about assessing risk. We never know what these are going to do, okay? It's about where are the odds. And when you can do that and you can properly assess risk, that's where you have this game beat, because all you think about are the odds. Are the odds in my favor? Is the juice worth the squeeze? That's the question you got to ask yourself on every single trade. If you're going to risk 2 points and you're only looking to get out 50 cents on the trade, is it worth it? No, of course not. Now, it's not always about that risk reward ratio. That's a bunch of BS is what that is. Okay. It doesn't translate to the real world. Sometimes your risk will be skewed because there's other factors that need to go into these trades. And that's what I want to share with you guys on YouTube and X for free. I want to educate you about all of these things. So if you don't want to wait for weekly videos and everything else and these daily trade assessments, come to tricktrades.com, get yourself situated. It's a brand new start to the year. Let's rock and roll. So again, go to tricktrades.com and I will coach you to absolute success. With that said, folks, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and we will see you tomorrow. Adios.